2x2, 7 rows deep, and rolling up to the start-finish line. It looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside as they can. Saber making an amazing dive into turn 1, and electroshocks off. Eggful gets the move, but MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 5 different punches.
Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into town row, it's a big clash. It's a big clash between the two title contenders.
You ready, Suzuka?
Yep. It looks like it's a night race, so I might as well say good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary pals, all our furries and non-furries here in the broadcast. Welcome to round 4 of the Simufur ACC GT3 series season 6, and we're here in a wonderful circuit over in America, Watkins Glen. This is my absolute Oh, looks like we're having technical issues at the point. Apologies for that.
Guess you continue with it though.
From what I was saying, it's going to be in fact a night race here in Watkins Glen. It's going to be very interesting for our drivers because it's dark. we'll have to go through it using our headlights because the track isn't lit. There's no lights covering this track, so Watkins Glen, you're really going to have to be really alert in such a high-speed circuit. What else can you add, Nick?
I mean, looking at it, even on the commentaries that just then, we see that even though it is pretty unlit for us commentators, it's actually quite the reflective paint, as well as the fact that the number boards are slightly illuminated, makes it quite easy, a little bit easier for us. The numbers on the dashboard makes it so that you can see the car numbers, and for us it's still pretty bright, but for the drivers, it's gonna be not the best idea to be driving this dark. You gotta find your braking markers again. You really can't use a lot of the markers that you usually do when you're racing here on the daytime, because especially some corners, for me at least, especially in turn, turn 6, it's actually not turn 8. Usually you break between 2 different markers on the road that's slightly different colors on the grass, but for nighttime though, you definitely have to have a stab at it in the dark to find where you need to brake. And I think for some of these drivers, they definitely are used to it, but for some, especially in the M class, it's going to be a very new experience for them in and of itself. As we wait for the servers to come back, though, we did have about 23 drivers coming in this time around. Do you expect any drivers to be excelling at this night race?
I haven't seen the timing sheets for myself, but from what I've been hearing from all the drivers, the Mustang is one of the cars that is the most that makes the most out of this circuit. So I have a feeling drivers like Goyando and Dipping Sauce and Saber, they might have the upper hand with their cars having the upper hand in this home circuit, the Ford Mustang GT3. So overall, I think it will be the same thing, but we might see some uprising drivers from our Mustang drivers. And overall, business as usual. Hopefully everything goes smoothly as well. Of course, hopefully we can make it to the checkered flag. And yeah.
Yeah, checker flag is definitely something that everyone always looks forward to. As we start to get the people start to join back into the server again. But though, I mean, it is a track that really favors cars that are able to take curves. You have the likes of the boot that the bus stop chicanes that usually people dread, but there are also certain corners here that require you to be really brave around here. The turn 7, the toe, a pretty big uphill hairpin. Gotta make sure you brake pretty late. Use the uphill as a assistance for you on your braking zone to basically get the position right. As well as turn 10, the very long, fast left-hander before the last corner at Watkins Glen. These are the corners that usually, if you're used to it, really gives you the lap times you have this time around in this track, or it might actually ruin you because, especially turn 10 itself, if your car is pretty unstable, you're gonna get yourself a slap of tank slapper and then just send you into the wall. That's not gonna be ideal for drivers here driving here. As you can see here as well, we have Wolfin driving, and for his commentators, it's quite easy to see the drivers once you see the side of them. The car numbers are pretty lit. So for us, it's not the worst thing in the world. We definitely can see most of the stuff, but for the drivers there, it's going to be a problem as they're trying to do a yellow flag full course caution practice for the drivers. So see when full course caution happens, you'll see drivers just get on the pit limiter, drive slowly. This is to make sure that everyone can recover on track safely, and it's something that we us here at Simufur have, as we have race control here to make sure that everyone races safely.
Yeah, that's right. Safety is, of course, number one priority as well here in Sydney for a lot of sim racers using various equipment like direct drive motors. So safety is really important for the risks of these guys, especially. As here we have RK, one of the dominant drivers here. In fact, I think, if I'm right, I think they're the championship leader, are they?
I gotta go check back on the leaderboard, but they should be. You'll have to give me a sec while I go find that information for you right now.
All right, but yeah, RK, one of the title favorites here, coming around Watkins Glen in that Take Gang Ferrari. Now, Watkins Glen, it's pretty much one of my favorites. You have all of this elevation, the sweeping left and right hand corners. It just it's just really fun setting a lap around this track. But racing, my goodness, the racing product that this circuit can give, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of opportunities to try and make a move and try to fight back, because again, this is a circuit that has great reputation. It holds several racing events like the 6 hours of the Glen from IMSA, and if I'm correct, Watkins Glen is one of the former venues that Formula One took back in the old days.
Oh, that's been really old. Unfortunately, I've not seen F1 race at Watkins Glen. It'll be very interesting to see F1 racing here at Watkins Glen, though. But I doubt they like it as much as as much wide as it looks. It is definitely quite narrow in certain sections, and it's definitely not like favorable for F1 in terms of the mile runoffs in certain corners. But I do have the results for the standings that we have right now. Currently, TGR locks out the front three, with RK being in first at 46 points, Danek being second at 45 points. 1 point is the gap between the two of them. Vossi is the third in the overall standings right now, followed by Granda and Leporcio coming in the top 5. But for silver class, though, Leporcio is still in the lead for silver class at 49 points. Ven behind them, closely at 45 points. Vex will be the third on the silver, standing at 36 points. So definitely still up for contention if anyone can get more wins here in the silver class. But for the AM though, Huang V first in 49 points. Wolfin strongly behind them at 43 points. And then rounding off the third place will be JPEG in the Aston Martin at 34 points. So actually still still very close fight between drivers in all championships currently on the leaderboard. So it's pretty good that everything is going all right now.
Yeah, Tig Gang Racing looking really dominant after the first half of the season. Now Tig Gang have been obviously on a roll lately, but I gotta give props to to was it 1v that shiny star from Cabal Sim Sports being being the guy at front, ruining that perfect streak of Take Gang. Well, as far as I'm concerned, unfortunately, Take Gang does not have AM drivers. I'm not sure if Take Benak can prove me correct or wrong later on, but it's nice to see this level of competition, especially within the silver and AM class. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I think we always clouded by the overall standings that we kind of forget how tight the silver and M class has always been. I think that's always the case. Most of the drivers, especially in the if we're looking at the broadcast itself, we only see the overall leaderboards. I think that's kind of common, given that we have drivers from all classes involved in here. But for most of the drivers, they are racing in specific classes. They will definitely be seeing the very close fights within the class itself. And I think for some, it's definitely a motivating factor to stay racing for the entire series. But at the same time, can see as well, it's like you can fight for positions here, but at the same time, you'll be fighting for overall positions as well, just to get as close to your silver rival as possible. And I think for some, it might be a bit of a challenge, but it's definitely a challenge that, at least for me, I like to have. But for some, they definitely don't like the fact that they have to fight extra hard just to get the positions they want.
Yeah, I gotta admit, as a former silver driver, it was kind of fun taking on some pro drivers, but overall, back then I was more focused on my own battle in the silver class. So my standings overall weren't a big problem until I got that pro class promotion. So it's great to see how these drivers take on the challenge differently. They want to fight the pro drivers regardless of being a silver class driver, or they just have the outright pace to fight within the pro ranks, especially Parcho, who has been consistently on top of the silver class field and within the mix of pros. That is very solid performance from the number 47 Take Gang Ferrari. As we see Parcho currently not on the top of the timing sheets, but I'm not sure if they've done an actual lap. I have a feeling this should be the one, or have they just gone wide? I'm not sure, but Parcho, yeah, Parcho, unfortunately, going quite wide, but it's, but 2 minutes left of practice to go, and thankfully it's just practice because this is the moment where drivers want to fine tune their inputs or their tuning, etc., in order to get the optimal lap time for qualifying and the optimal endurance that they need for the race.
Well, I mean, it's a bit dark to be thinking about setup right now. I usually would think that you'd be doing setups at home,
Very true.
in daylight conditions, but for now, especially in race time, it's definitely not the best time to think about setups. But you can see here the headlights on these race cars bright enough to actually illuminate most of what's happening in front of them, though, because we do have the big beams, and with the big beams on, you can definitely see most of the track in front, and the Porsche just having some slight issues coming down into turn 6, so definitely something they have to fix about. But as you can see here, pretty bright, except for the pit lane itself. When you are in the pit lane, when you turn on the pit limiter, your big beams turn off, just for safety of the drivers itself. So definitely nice to see that the drivers will not have too much of a view issue, unless they're behind a different driver. Then their view will definitely get obstructed. You definitely do not want to be going in blind, especially in the bus stop. So drivers definitely have to be taking a little bit more caution. But with a grid right now of 29 drivers, definitely a very busy Watkins Glen right here. So it'll be very interesting to see how qualifying happens. We'll see how the AMs perform here. We'll see how the Silvers perform, and ultimately how the Pros will perform here right in a bit as the drivers start to get their final laps in.
Speaking of the grid, I think right after Snetterton, both Fluffy and Quest have been promoted from the national rookie class to the AM class. So it's great to see them have a solid footing in the Simufur grid. But I do also want to point out an additional driver, a returning driver here in the number 66 Audi R8. That is Chip Husky representing Lead Paw Racing, who has
Oh,
well, let's just say an interesting history from previous races. I think they were in the Formula One series under the name Auto and Boomer Cup, but we don't talk about what happened in Boomer Cup. Anyways, glossing over that, glossing over that. It's great to see Chip returning to the grid, and it's great to see LPR making its appearance from time to time. I remember they were in Fuji in the iRacing GT3 series with Pan representing in the BMW, if I'm correct. But
I've
yeah,
actually not noticed that, but it's glad to see them back. But we are going into qualifying as drivers start to slowly get on the grid. But for now, it's glad to see most drivers back. We're not the most perfect league, I'll tell you that. But as we still have a very strong uh, drive to keep improving as we go, and definitely nice to see drivers coming back. Give us feedback, give us a chance, as well as the fact that just driving with us. We strive to make sure that our community is as safe as possible, and it's always nice to see drivers, of all classes, of all places, just join with us. It's a really nice place to have fun and also spend a weekend here.
the AMs are rolling out for qualifying right now, so it's around
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and that was a spinner from Dirk. Not ideal if you want to set up an outlap. That's gonna scrub an extra set of tires. You do not want to push really hard on those cold tires because it will hurt you a lot in your qualifying laps. Anyways, looking at JPEG Fox with on their Aston Martin and taking a cautious but sensibly cautious outlap, going a bit wide, but again, this is everyone's outlap. They just need to warm up the tires as much as possible, which is really tricky, especially in the colder, in the more chillier night conditions. As you can see, the high beams on that Aston Martin really bright as they head into Sector 3. That's the final few corners. The left-hander, that's a slow left-hander. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to Apex Fox for a lap around Watkins Glen. So Nick, go take it away from me.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting as well because I don't think they have the high beams. But coming down into the last corner, and this will be the start of the lap here at Watkins Glen, coming down from the pits, start finish straight, pretty strong. But you gotta brake at the 200-meter mark. Some people brake at the feather type 4 right here, brake hard, clipping into the first apex. You can kick quite deep inside the first lap corner though, but don't go too wide out here, or else you get your lap invalidated. Turn 1 pretty hard. As you push it hard, but you can definitely get a long time here. Turn 3, the S's. Gotta make sure that you don't scrub your tires as much, or else you lose a bunch of time. Keep it on the inside before going to the left side for the very long back straight before going to the boot, the inner loop. Come here. Usually you brake at the marshal's post on the left side here. Take the curb on the inside. You can definitely take more here. You can see the pros will take a lot more here. Be patient around here before you go into the outer loop. The very long right-hander here. Be patient on the throttle. Also run wide like JPEG does right here. If you run too wide, though, you get a lap invalidated. Turn 6, the shoot. Brake hard as you see the exit rail on the outside there. Turn in on the apex. You can be pretty strong on the power here. The camber helps you to put the power down as strong as possible. Coming down into the toe, the hairpin. Brake at the 50-meter board as hard as possible. Hug the inside. Make sure you don't run too wide, or else you lose a bunch of time. JPEG has definitely run a little bit wide here, but put the power down. Make sure you don't slide. And gain a bunch of time here. Turn 8, the heel. One very deceptive corner. People think it's a right-hand corner. No, it's more than a right-hand corner. So you gotta brake, patient on the throttle. Make sure you wait for the apex to show up before you turn the throttle out, and then punch it. If you go too wide, though, you lose your time. Here on the uphill, turn 9. Very deceptive. You might brake a bit too late and you will risk running wide, but JPEG has done it pretty nicely though, a bit conservative on exit. Before coming to turn 10, brake at the 100-meter board. Actually, you don't brake for some cars as well, just lift, turn in, make sure you get a good exit before turn 11. Tap on the brakes a little bit, you don't have to go too much on the brakes. And power is strong with the camber, and that's going to be a lap at Watkins Glen. A lot of time to be gained for your drivers, but for JPEG, that will be a 1:49.007. Not to be able to beat Phaser right now with a 1:47.2. Definitely a very fast drive from Phaser in and of itself. Phaser though, a driver on keyboard. So definitely interesting to see that they are very quick here as a keyboard driver, and hopefully they have a good run here during the entire hour in the race.
Well, that was a pretty decent lap coming from JPEG Fox. Not bad and rather clean, which is what he needs for his chance at contention of the AM Championship battle. Remember, as Nick said, I think he was third in the standings coming into Watkins Glen. So JPEG definitely needs those laps to be done for their hopes to be for their championship hopes
Cool.
compared to Wolfen and 1V. And speaking of 1V, 1V just beat their provisional pole of their teammate by
Half a second.
by half a second. That is 146.5 compared to Phaser's 147.2. So 1V already showing pace right off the bat, but remember, track evolution is going to play a huge role in qualifying, especially with how cold these drivers come out of pit lane. These tires are just going to get warmer and more grippier, and they'll just find more lap time as Phaser finds another 10th off of 1V. It's a battle between the two Cabal Sim Sports drivers for the AM class pole positions. I
it's
don't
gonna
think
be interesting.
anyone is going to upset their battle for now.
Well, you say that Huangvi's already on track to be sub 45, sub 46. So these AM drivers are rapid. I am driving a car with sub 46 lap time. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers just react with how cold the track is. You remember that the grip increases as the track cools down as well. To a certain extent, though, because as the track goes too cold, though, you might get graining. And I think drivers here are having some pretty interesting lap times, given that Huangvi is currently on track to be sub 46. Definitely a time that you don't expect these cars to be having in the daylight, but at night it's definitely cold enough, and I think for them it's gonna be a pretty nice drive, and it's gonna help them boost their ego as they come across the line right now. Going into the start finish straight, that will be a 1:45.8 for Huangvi. Definitely a time to beat for the rest of the drivers.
Huge chunk of time that 1V took off of their personal best to steal provisional pole once again from Phaser. It is for now a Cabal 1-2 and a Blue E3-4 in terms of the AM Championship qualifying battle that we're having. It's very interesting. And unfortunately, Durg and Wolfen are still a second off because, Jesus Christ, these two are really quick. Just try to get the best lap time out of each other, taking tenths, hundreds, thousands, all of that important fractions of time to get in order to beat each other out in this competition. It's very close between Phaser and 1V. But Durg right now currently 4/10 off of their personal best. Make that 5/10. They are slowly ramping up their pace, but is it enough to bring on a challenge to Phaser or even 1V if they're fast enough as they head into Sector 3? 3 more corners to go for the number 26 Blue E Ferrari, but now they're really wide there, almost touching the wall, skirting the grass just a little. That is just margins, and currently they're a second off their delta. They could give on the challenge. 1 more corner to go. Can Durg beat out pole position
They
of
will.
1V?
They will.
Yes, it is. It is Durg that beats out 1V for provisional pole for now by 2/10.
Yeah, 1:45.6, definitely a fast lap time for them. I think they're gonna be mixing up within the pros and the silvers, because right now, with how previous history laps have shown, most drivers will be expecting a 1:45 race lap. So for them, it's either gonna go faster, or these pros are so rapid that you basically have to be fighting between the M class just to get positions between your other classes as well. But as you can see here, track here really enjoyable for most drivers here, definitely able to push as hard as possible. The camera just helping the drivers, just having fun here, pushing it as much as possible, and drivers definitely are pushing the absolute limit for these drivers. Currently Juan V is still trying to beat their lap time. They don't need much, though. They just need a tenth or two. And I think, ooh, that is a
Oh,
driver in the wall. I think that is Juan V trying to
that
follow
is
Dirk, and that's not
1v.
a good idea.
Unfortunately, I think that's dirty air that caught out 1v. But yeah, 1v is of course settling out because that was their last lap. Dirk on their last lap as well because they invalidated and went wide. So Dirk and 1v they're settled for now. Phaser in the pits and Wolfen. Wolfen's the last guy on charge. I'm not sure if they're gonna beat their personal best. It's really close. So can they put on a challenge and try and take a top 3 position as we
I
look
mean,
over
it's the
to
start.
we look over to the Blue E BMW sweeping right hand. Unfortunately, it looks like they're losing time
Wide.
from what I'm seeing on their Delta.
Yeah, definitely a little bit wide, too wide coming into turn 5. These corners, although they are cambered for you, really test your patience. If you're a bit too early on power, though, you definitely get the punishment of just getting washed out wide, and you definitely have to work with the camber to be on to get any sort of lap time. They have gained back the time that they lost, but unfortunately, if they didn't lose that much time, they definitely would have used the gain back time to be increase in the delta. But for now, they're still a little bit behind. Oh, they are gaining a bit of time. Will they invalidate though? Nope, they're still gonna be on track to maybe or maybe not finish the lap. But for them, it will be the end of their qualifying as Silvers will start to go out. It will be a last. Oh, as Wolfen just
Yep.
lost it. That's gonna be a not the best lap for Wolfen. Will they be able to do their pit entry practice? I think that's up to them. But for now, Silver drivers coming out for their qualifying.
That definitely messed up Wolfen's lap time. That snap oversteer from the BMW is is just enough to just demotivate their chances of the top 3, but they are in P4. They are in a solid position to fight for the AM title. Although Juan V is indeed in P2, but I think Wolfen does have the luxury of having their teammate out in front. Now Derg not in contention. I don't think they're in contention for the AM championship, but they are definitely a quick driver and will definitely try and shake off 1v when the time comes.
Well, it's usually that the M drivers have shown that they have pace, but it's usually the problem of staying alive. And I hope drivers here, get used to staying alive. That'll definitely be a very good result for them should they keep it alive. For now, though, the Silvers on track. We definitely can see some of the drivers saying lap times here. We should be able to look on some of the drivers if we are able to get a camera on there. But right now, Azure, no, not Azure, RS should be on pace. Right now, most of the drivers actually are on track right now, doing some laps right now. But they're still warming up, getting their brakes ready, getting the tires ready. Definitely not the best place to. They warm up their tires right now. Dark conditions, not so you see traffic being in the way. Drivers on the silver class will definitely want to get some tow on certain session, especially in the start finish straight, the back straight. Actually, there's quite a few straights here to be hanging about. The straights between turn 6 to turn 8 as well before the hairpin, before and after the hairpin. Actually, a lot of straights here that can gain some time from having a tow. But will the tow be beneficial compared to the dirty air? I think some of the drivers need to experiment and figure out. If not now, they definitely need to know that during the race. But for now, Auras coming down in the third sector here. 8, 9, and 10. They're definitely more comfortable in the Hurricane right now. Glad to see that they're getting some time, getting used to the track, especially getting used to the car. They definitely have been shuffling between cars here and there. It's not the easiest sim to get used to certain specific cars. I have been shuffling between cars between seasons as well. So it's nice to see them having fun, and it's going to be a few laps starting with Auras for the silver class.
Yeah, or as a consistent challenger for the podium positions, the Lamborghini, they are definitely doing well in that Lamborghini now. Auras is more used to if I remember correctly, they're more used to GT4 cars, and their main favorite is the Ginetta. So it's definitely a it was definitely a tough process for Auras to get used to a GT3 car, but I think they're doing well in that Lamborghini for now.
Well, the thing about the setups here in ACC is that most, especially if you're used to real life track driving against RS, is as well as with how if you're used to GT4 cars, you really want to take curbs on these tracks, and for basically the default setups as well as the meta setups for most drivers, they are using paid setup conditions, or if they're not used to making their own setups, will have will have issues taking curbs here. The default setups don't really uh, encourage curb taking, as they are pretty stiff on the suspension in and of itself. So for some drivers, it's going to be a very big struggle. But I'm glad the Huracan is treating them well, and there's definitely a lot of improvements on their lap time right now. Aura is currently 7/10 faster than their previous lap time. They set of 1:46.6 as their installation lap, so that will bring them up into a 1:45.8. Still not as fast as Dirk though in the 1:45.6. So definitely Dirk has pushed the absolute limits of the car right now. So silver drivers definitely have to work hard to get their lap times improvement. Van though, let's see where Van is currently 1:45.7, but with a 4/10 improvement on their lap time. Still going. Oh,
6
tap on the
tenths.
wall. Oh, that's going to lose them a little bit of time though, coming down into the last corner. But that will give them a 1:45.1.
Yep.
Praising improvement for the silver drivers up to the rest of the class to catch up. That tap on the wall though, gotta be careful in the race, or else gonna lose a little bit of top end speed for the corners.
Yeah, remember, these are the first few laps of the silver class driver, so that times are definitely going to ramp up as those tires get warmer. But then, from the get-go, beating Dirk's lap time, that is phenomenal stuff from the number 64 Cabal BMW. Behind them in the silver class is Electroshocks by 5 tenths, and Auraz in P3 by 6 tenths. However, Harcho, our favorite for the silver class championship, finding themselves far down for now. Maybe they are trying to find the perfect gaps, trying to find the perfect lines around this dark Watkins Glen circuit, but Harcho right now, they're not showing themselves for now, but I have a feeling they will show their true face later on in qualifying.
It definitely will be there right now. There's just going there small little outlap, but yes, I think most of the lap times are being set right now. The other driver that's having a big improvement will be Eggful, 7/10 off their previous time. That will give them a 1:46.3, 1:46.2 lap time. Coming from P12, that will give them a little bit of a gap. That will give them maybe fighting with position with Swing Lee though. But for now, yeah, as I say here, 5/10, half a second will be the next driver behind Ven. But behind Electroshocks though, that is in P2, who have a very close few thousands. Behind them will be RS. Kamirs though, saying a blistering 1:45.5 in the McLaren, coming behind P2, just half a second still for 4/10 right
Go to
now.
Electroshocks.
Oh, Electroshocks though did answer it,
Close,
7,000.
but not quite.
Yeah, just 7,000s behind them. Actually, no, 700s behind them. So still very close though.
The number 75 Taegang Porsche is 75 thousandths away from pole
No,
position.
7,500s.
What are the 700s, but 75 thousandths
Right,
of a
yes.
second? Yeah. What are the odds as they head into the bus stop chicane? They're rather close to Chip, so I'm not sure if this is going to disrupt their dirty air, disrupt them because of the dirty air, but I think Electroshock should be on a cool down phase from now, because that was a blistering lap time that almost got them pole position.
Well, you want to take the toe here as well, given that they are in a Porsche, but it is pretty close to Chip, so definitely not the most ideal positions to be in. But if they know how to manage the traffic right, they might get a benefit from it. They are getting small toe from it, but Vendo trying to answer from trying to get away from Electroshock right now, 2/10 in front of their previous best. But as you can see here, very interesting to see that they are definitely keeping it as close as possible behind Chip. Will that affect them though? Yes, it will. They validated their lap time just then, so definitely have to do it again. They definitely have to increase the gap just a little bit, just so they don't get themselves pushed too wide, or else they might catch up too fast to Chip. I think that's what they're doing right now, getting a little bit of a gap before they start a new flying lap for the next lap.
Interesting enough, that looks a bit too close to comfort for Electroshocks right behind Chip. But Ven right now holding on strongly. They've been on that provisional pole for quite a long time. Not a lot of people are bringing on a challenge. Archo, unfortunately, 7/10 down and in pit lane, so they're definitely not going for another lap time. Our number 47, our favorite for in the silver class field, far down in the silver class, but they're still P5, so they're still within grips of the silver championship title, but it's going to be a tricky if Parcha wants to win here in Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting fight up the top. At the end of the day, it's all about race pace. So it can be fast in qualifying, but if you can't keep you on track in the race, it's gonna be a pretty easy run for them. Laporte definitely is pretty strong on race pace, though, unless something does happen during a race. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers just get their grips together, get themselves managed through traffic. But for them, electroshocks though. 2/10 in front of them. It might not be Ven that'll be finishing the standings. Electroshocks might be the one winning the standings right now. 2/10 faster than the previous lap time. Chip is still not in the way for them, so they definitely have to be careful on the exit for this corner. At turn 8, make sure to be as careful as possible. Still within track limits though, but still lost that 2/10 advantage. Will they still be able to be faster than their previous lap time? Right now they have Chip right in front of them. Make sure that they don't get in the way though. Currently 2/10 closing in and out of the 2/10 mark, but that is on position to get pole. Will they be able to get pole? That's a very bad exit on the last corner. Well, that is actually an improvement. 2/10. That will be a P1 for them in the 1:44.9. That will be the fastest lap Electro has done.
At the very last moments, Electroshocks has stolen pole position thanks to their strategy of taking the toll from Chip, who has taken P3 themselves. So very interesting qualifying in the last moments for the silver class. Unfortunately, that drops Parcher down a tad bit more because Chip just passed them in terms of qualifying. But anyways, the pros are out, so these lap times are definitely going to be the most interesting. They're going to be the quickest of them all. As we look at Dipping Sauce, who is on an outlap along with these others, they're really queuing up right here. They're taking their time. They know that they don't want to overcook the tires for this qualifying runs.
Yeah, but I think for most drivers as well, the pros just all go out all in and at once instead of spreading it out. They all definitely want the most lap times as possible. We can definitely try to get on a lap again for the pro drivers to see how close they take the curves on certain corners. I think that'll be a good idea. But for now, the dip coming into the start finish straight, that will be their first flying lap in the Mustang. The Mustang definitely not the most popular around this series, but it's definitely very capable so long as you're able to tame the very strong, the very torque heavy front engine car of the Mustang. Is definitely a good car to run your legs with because of how strong the engine is. But for these drivers, it's still a very fun drive here coming down into Watkins Glen. American track, American car. For Dip though, with how good the suspension is on the Mustang, definitely going to be compliant in the boot area so long as they take the curbs strongly, as you see here on the pro drivers. Will definitely take the curb as much as possible. That's going to be all the track limits. You paid for it, you're going to run all of the track limits here.
Dipping Sauce really on the limit with that Mustang. The V8 roaring in the night. They are just one of many Mustangs here, by the way. As Dipping Sauce rounds. I forget the corner
Turn
name.
7, that's so.
Turn 7, that's yeah. Turn 7, turn 8. Dipping Sauce really doing pretty decently, and the Mustang's power really helps them a lot in the first section and a lot of the straight line bits, which it's the handling characteristics of the Mustang conveniently enjoying Watkins Glen. Surprisingly, I'd expect cars like the Ferrari or McLaren to have the upper hand, but the Mustang, one of the top cars, has RK6 provisional pole. Here comes Dipping Sauce. What can they do? What time can they set? The number 38 Blue Eve Mustang rolling onto the final corner, almost touching the wall, putting the power down, and that should be great enough for. Unfortunately, that's P16, so Dipping Sauce definitely has a lot more ground to cover.
There's definitely a lot more ground to cover, but that is just the first lap. The car definitely needs more time to warm up. Definitely needs more breathing room to make sure that everything is all right on the car. But RK saying a blistering 148.40, just a little bit more, and that will be in the 143s. They are definitely going into the 143s, so I think that will be the only pro class coming into the 143s. As Goyando setting a 144.6, not improving on the current lap, so definitely not expecting to be improving. Coming behind them, the Taichi in 144.9 in the other TGR Ferrari. So it seems like the Ferraris are strong here, as well as just the drivers from TGR itself.
Yeah, you're right. TGR on a really dominant spree here this season. RK, our championship leader, with Denak tagging along behind in P2 in the overall standings. It's really, I have never seen this level of dominance ever before. This is interesting.
I mean, it's just it's a good coincidence that the TGR drivers are all pretty quick, and it's good. Danak definitely has seen and chosen the fastest drivers on the grid to be in the team, and definitely you can see here the RK setting up this very fast 143.6 behind Zizors though. Has taken P2. Actually, Goendo has taken back P2 or 144.1. Definitely not too far away, the drivers behind RK, but I say that they are still half a second behind RK, but definitely still a very strong fight between the pro class. RK is going to be in front, but that's only going to be in front in qualifying. They still have to fight for positions in the start of the race itself. If RK is not able to just run away in the race start, they're gonna have a very long, hard battle in the race.
That is right. As blisteringly fast of a lap time RK can set, the front, if their front row mate is someone with a torque-heavy car such as the Mustang of Guayando, I think that Guayando might have the upper hand coming in the opening laps because Ferrari not so good when it comes to race starts, remember. So Guayando might bring on a decent challenge. We saw that last time with Cerubine in their GDR and Snetterton in the race restart, who unfortunately got tagged out by RK later on into turn 2. But Cerubine mentioned, as I mentioned, they're definitely on a break because a lot of these drivers have real life stuff to take care of. So pretty much understandable, and we hope your we hope real life things go well as well for you, number 57 DTR. But definitely missing that car on the grid for what they've done, especially in that we don't talk about Red Bull race. that was a very phenomenal send. It's just a shame the race wasn't official because I would have loved to see that in an official race.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely unfortunate with how cursed the season is, but we still move on to make sure that we still have fun. At the end of the day, we are just here to have fun. It's definitely a little bit of unfortunate timing though. The New Year's, people busy with the start of the year. Usually work and studies are starting up, as well as the fact that Lunar New Year is at the end of this year. So a lot of drivers have families to take care of, having to do some New Year shopping, and it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers cope with the schedule. We are currently in round 4. We have 2 more weeks before we finish round off the entire season.
Oh!
So it's gonna be Saber. Be careful what you're doing there.
That is a Tokyo drift from Saber Kizu. My goodness, look, that was a lot of angle on that Mustang. But that's not good on the tires, that's for sure. That's gonna rough them up. That's not gonna make them as grippy as they used to be. That's just gonna make them even hotter as well, which is kind of what you want, but you don't want those tires to be too hot that they don't grip anymore.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see that they have lost a bunch of time here on qualifying. They definitely have to redo their lap times right now. They have to cool the tires down first, make sure that you're not going on with a very, very hot surface temperature on the tires. The cold track will definitely help them cool it down, definitely spread the temperature around on track itself. But for now, they have to restart and redo their lap time again. But they're pretty far. They're pretty up on the leaderboard though right now. Saber doing a 144.4, P3 in the standings. So definitely a little more time to gain. Right now, though, the next driver that has big improvements here, Vossi, 2.5 tenths in front of their previous lap time. The rest of the grid right now still pretty stable, and the other one that's improving as well as KD, 3 tenths on their previous lap time. That will give them if they keep their 3 tenths improvement, that will set them a sub 44 lap time. As we see Vossi from P7, that will bring them to. Actually, they'll still keep them in P7 144.6 in their lap time.
A lot of these drivers are on their last laps right now. As we look over to Vossi, who's in P7 for now, but looking over at the track map, I think Azure is going to be the last driver to set a lap time. So let's keep an eye out for them once they arrive to the checkered flag. But Guayando, a challenger for pole position, they are currently on the edge of beating RK in terms of in qualifying. Can the Cabal Mustang make the most out of these high speed sections as they head into lower speed territory, which the Mustang is pretty sketchy in, especially on exit, because that's a car with a lot of torque, a lot of horsepower. As they put on the power, it's only 2 corners to go for the number 84 Cabal Mustang. They are currently 2 tenths down, but RK with a phenomenal lap time, 143.4. I don't think anyone is going to beat that, not even Guayando, who is currently 2 tenths down. Unfortunately, that will be 5 tenths down of RK's time, but RK, what a lap time, 143.4. The only driver, correct me, but yeah, RK Guayando, the only drivers for now in the 43 territories. So, impressive lap time from them.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing how fast this track is, especially at night. It seems like the pace gap between qualifying as well as night race puts them well below the sub 44 lap time. So it's definitely interesting to see that these drivers are pushing it really hard. Azure, though, coming down to the last few corners behind Danak as well. Both the last two drivers going to set lap times for this qualifying session. It's going to be interesting to see where or Azure, actually, I said alright. Azure will land in. That will give them a 3 tenths improvement. That will give them P3. And that will be the last driver coming into the pits, crossing the line here at Watkins Glen's qualifying.
What a huge lap time from RK. That was a massive margin. 5 tenths off of Guayando and 8 tenths of Azure. It's Take Gang, Cabal, and RRP battling out for P1. But with RK having such dominance, I don't think they can put on a challenge unless you have Guayando having a very great race start, which is most likely will happen considering that they're sharing that front row with the Ferrari.
Well, it really depends on who's able to get on the inside or have a good run on the outside. It's definitely more on who's more confident at setup. For now, though, it's going to be an interesting fight between the few of them. It really depends on who's more experienced with restarts. Both drivers, Guayando and RK, pretty confident on restarts. Guayando more used to iRacing, though, so definitely might be affected. I hope drivers are ready for their race, their pit strategies. So you are required to have a tire change and their pit stop. So if you forget to do your pit stops, it's gonna be a very big problem. For some though, it's a usual routine for them. You know, for now, check the pit stops, check the tires, get everything ready, get some water before the race start. And for some, they might forget, and hopefully they don't. It's usually a unfortunate scene when drivers forget their pit equipment during this preparation phase. That will give them a very uncomfortable time setting the pit stuff during the race. So it's gonna be important for drivers to just get ready, get everything sorted out. As for other classes as well, who do you think will win for the other classes for silver as well as for M?
Overall, of course I'd go for RK. I mean that pace is just phenomenal. I think they might get back on Guayano if Guayano does indeed get past RK on the opening lap. In terms of the silver class, it's really close, but I think I might have to give it to Ben because especially as the title contender compared to Parcho. And in terms of the AM class, I'm I I think I'm predicting Juan V. Now Juan V is a very solid driver in terms of race pace. They're really consistent, and I think that yeah, Juan V as the title, they've proven themselves as one of the title contenders. So Juan V is going to be put on a tough challenge for Dirk.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how things are as drivers start to get into the pit lane. Pretty interesting to see, starting to get preparations done. I think that was just a smaller wait time as we wait here in, in the splash screens to get everyone sorted out. 3 minutes before green light. So drivers will definitely, now's the time for actually set up your pit stuff. Get your tire pressure set. Usually, from session to sessions, usually don't get much of a temperature difference. But if you do, now's the time to start calculating for how much tire pressures you need to adjust. And you definitely want to make sure that you don't overinflate or underinflate your tires. Usually don't see this in other sims in iRacing, but for ACC, tire pressures are very important. You do not want to underinflate your tires. That will not be ideal for grip, and you do not want to be overinflating your tires as well. And here, so nice to see that drivers are preparing to get on their pit stuff. But I think are we able to do a grid walk here? I think we're able to see right then in a bit. For now, it's gonna be an interesting thing to see. But what do you think is gonna happen at the race start?
I'm genuinely hoping that things come out clean. Now, Snarton, it's a very tight circuit, so that you'll definitely be seeing a lot of RG barging crashes going on. But Watkins Glen, that turn one has a lot of runoff. But my main concern is the high speed corners. Now, if anyone has a crash there, it's going to be a NASCAR level big one. If others pile in on that wreck, it's really hard to stop, especially when you're going at really high speed. It's just hard to slow down the car if anyone has a little bit of an oopsie and just causes well the signs on Watkins Glen say it. I hope no one goes bowling at the high speed bit. Anyways, looking at our grid walk, we have our pole sitter RK for Tigang Racing in that number 25 Ferrari, starting alongside Guayando for Cabal in that 84 Mustang. In our second row, we have Azure Gold for Ridge Racers Project, starting alongside the Mustang, another Mustang of Saber, Mustang sharing the second and fourth position. In our third row, we have Danak of Tigang Racing and Zezors of Cabal Sim Sports. Starting in P7 and P8 is it's a Tigang row of KD and Taichi, the number 18 McLaren and 324 Ferrari. Rounding out our top 10, we have Bossy for Tigang, we have Quick for Escargot, and P11 and P12, we have Electroshock for Tigang and Ven for Cabal. P13 and P14 is occupied by Dipping Sauce for Blue E and Chip Husky for Lead Paul Racing. P15 and P16 are shared between Auraz and Camiers for Blue E. P17 and P18, we have our front row for the silver class. That is Sturg and Juan V. And rounding out our top 20 is Parcho in the silver class and Swingley for Garage 42, I think in the silver class as well. P21 and P22, let's hurry up because these drivers are rolling out. Eggful and Phaser for P21, P22. P23 is Raph for Leggy Too Fast and Wolfen for P24. P25 and 26 is occupied by one of our newcomers, Fluffy, alongside JPEG Fox. And P27, P28 occupied by Quest and Coda. And completing up our grid is Skylar Vixen in the number 660 Porsche.
Yeah, I think Skylar's definitely trying to go for a back of the grid approach on this qualifying session. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they end up after the chaos of turn one. Actually, usually turn one's not the main concern here. It's usually the the bus stop that's usually having the main problem. Some drivers not used to the fact that you have a side-by-side entry in the bus stop might cause some pretty big chaos here. Hopefully nothing happens this time around as they got into the warm-up lap. It's now a good time to understand where you're supposed to turn in, where you're supposed to brake in these very tight conditions in the formation lap. I think drivers might get caught out in the fact that they can't see the apex as you're in this very fast corner. So it's gonna be interesting to see who's used to this, who's not. I think the pro drivers, RK, Guayando, Azure, they will get used to it. But will they get too caught up in trying to fight for positions instead of keeping tracks on their braking points and their turning markers? That's gonna be not the most ideal time to lose focus, but things could happen in the midst of racing. So not hopefully everyone just goes through it safely as they slowly drive in this very dark Watkins Glen.
You mentioned the bus stop, but remember what I said about turns 2, 3, and 4? High-speed sections where you can have a NASCAR-level crash. So, hoping everyone goes out fine one piece. If we do have a 2 wide, let's pray they keep it safe and clean, and hopefully everyone makes it out on the first lap. Hopefully we won't have to red flag this session.
Yeah, it's gonna be not the most ideal to red flag, but race control will be on the heels just to get everyone ready. But for now, slowly but surely, they're slowly getting the tires up, getting their brakes warmed up. The brakes, especially at night, will definitely help warm up the tires, but I don't see any rate calipers, so drivers are definitely maintaining, controlling their brake temperatures. But for some, they definitely want to overheat them just to warm up their tires. I think that's gonna be an interesting strategy. They definitely have to cool it down before turn 10 and turn 11, though, two braking corners. They don't get much speed to cool down their brakes. So it's going to be prime time to start getting into double file and getting into a position to start the race.
And as you say that, I think the drivers are starting to double file right now. RK getting into position, Guayando getting into position, everyone getting into position right now. So we are getting ready for round 4 here. 2 more corners to go. Hopefully everyone goes out fine, but you will know it's Watkins Glen, it's Simufur. Anything can happen, especially in dark, dusky conditions like this. In a night race, things can get hectic because you don't have that visibility. As the drivers round the final corner, it's going to be quite a long distance to the start-finish straight, but here we are right now. The drivers lining up as we speak. We're waiting for the green flag to wave.
Come on. Are we there yet?
And we're underway here in Watkins Glen. RK with a decent start. Guayando not having the best start, but Azure Goat going on the inside of turn 1, definitely trying to steal P2, and Azure makes it through for P2, but Guayando closing in, but I think Azure's got that spot done and dusted, but RK with a phenomenal start, running away from the back, but here comes Guayando trying to take the fight to Azure Goat. Can they make it? I think they're backing out, but right now they're single file right now, and there was enough. I think there was enough in the main straight. That is, yeah. Looking at my track map, there was enough between the AM class, but so far I think everyone making it out nice and cleanly.
Yeah, definitely a bit unfortunate for some of the drivers here, but for now, pretty strong on these drivers to keep it alive. I think there is some off between Leparcho, Kamirs, and Ponvi. Coming back into this though, Guayando actually a more conservative driver given their history in iRacing. Definitely not used to the fact that we're gonna have very strong battles here at the start of the race, but it's definitely not a bad position to start with. You know, get the aggressive drivers out of the way, just keep focusing on driving it, just keeping it alive. At the end of the day, it's all about keeping it alive, and I think Guayando knows that it doesn't really matter that you lost the position here at the start of the race. It's all about making sure you don't have any sort of incidents in this entire 1 hour, especially in the pit stop itself. It's gonna give them a lot of time to just, you know, keep the focus down, keep your tires up, and just slowly get into race pace. As you see here, some of the drivers cracking under pressure. I think that's Danak in front of Taichi that's a little bit pushing a bit too wide. They definitely want to think about, you know, if they want to swap positions or not, but I don't think Danak's in the position to give it up so early though.
Taichi is a relentless driver regardless if you're his teammate or not, so Danak really under pressure right now as it looks, but we do have quite a hectic fight in the back. Let's look at that as
Ooh.
they head into turn 1. What has happened between these guys? There's a little bit of contact, but Zezors, Katie, Bossy, and Ben making it out cleanly by the looks of it. Dipping Sauce right behind that pack. Let's look over to Dipping Sauce right now. It's a three-way battle between the two as they head into the bus stop. There's a 2-1 in the bus stop. Please don't tell me. No way. We're going to win the bus stop and it's gone wrong. Through goes Dipping Sauce. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Dipping Sauce taking advantage of that battle not going well for, I believe that is both Ven and Bossy.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for the drivers there, but they're definitely trying to learn where they can and can't fight. Definitely not the best idea to fight in that kind of position, though. So hopefully they understand that, you know, it's some places that you have to back out. But then they're trying to get away from electroshocks. I think that's understandable, but I don't think that's a good idea. Between the two of them, that definitely has to be looked into to see what has happened, to kind of understand, you know, who is on the upper hand on that specific corner in and of itself. But you can see here, very big train behind Dipping Sauce, so everyone wants to get a position here. It's going to be from P9 all the way down. I think that's going to be all the way down to about P19. That's a very, very, very long train, all within a second of each other. So pretty strong train here. Definitely want to get away from each other as much as possible right now. Goyando, though, still fighting for position with Azure. Very strong train right now with Azure leading the pack of the pro class. Will Goyando give it a toe? I don't think that's a good idea right now, but they definitely want to get a good run on turn 1, though. That will give them a very solid run, as they have to make sure they do make it happen. Or Saber right behind them is going to pick P3 out of them pretty easily in the second Mustang on the grid.
If they do want to bring the fight to... Oh, nope. What? Correct me, because Goyando is taking the fight to Azure, but this battle is just letting RK run away a la Max Verstappen style, but Goyando wrapping around the outside of the bus stop. Can he make it? Not quite.
Nope.
Saves it for later. Saves and tries to fight for another day. You saw what happened between Bossy and Ben. Thankfully, that same thing hasn't happened for the two of them.
Yeah, the McLaren definitely not the most ideal car to be fighting on the straight, though. Both pretty strong on power. Definitely the Mustang can do better, but for now, they are stuck behind Azure as the car just has... unfortunately, Azure just in front of them, so they definitely can have the
yellow,
toe to do it.
That is Katie, that's a McLaren. That is the McLaren of Katie, who has spun, and unfortunately, that is not how you want your race to go. That number 18 McLaren spinning around, but that McLaren very, very sensitive when it comes to bodywork damage. You do not want to have dents on that car, as Ben almost runs into Dipping Sauce trying to find their way around. Now Dipping Sauce really holding off that train now that he's gone in front of Ben and Bossy. So you're thinking both Ben and Bossy are regretting their decision of fighting each other, because this has just let Dipping Sauce through, and now Dipping Sauce is holding off the rest of these guys.
I mean, depends on how Ven approaches it. If Ven is able to be as fast as Dip, maybe they're able to get overtake. But for now, they might actually just use Dip as a toe to just get away from Vossy. Right now, Ven and Vossy and Electroshock's behind, still struggling for positions right now. Vossy, Electroshock definitely does not want to be left behind in front, getting stuck behind of Vossy itself. Seems like Vossy's struggling a little bit in these dark conditions, and definitely want to get past them as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, Vossy is not fighting for positions between the silver class drivers, so it's also in Vossy's best interest to just get away from all these drivers. Who's that? Oh, that was Taichi.
That was Taichi. I think that might have happened at the bus stop, but
yeah, that is the bus stop.
But thankfully they got back into racing speed, and they're back in form and trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that Taichi maybe lost it, maybe fighting for positions with Danak, maybe, or may have just lost it because of how tricky the bus stop is. It's all about making sure you don't overstep your boundaries here in the bus stop. If you take too much of a curb, you're gonna it's gonna punish you. The suspensions here in ACC does not like taking too harsh of a bump in most conditions. So it's interesting to see that Taichi has lost it a little bit, but given it's Taichi, they're definitely gonna recover. But the only problem is that Van and Electroshocks will not like the fact that they have a co-driver behind them that will fight for positions right now, though.
Yeah, that's right. RK is just setting fastest lap after fastest lap. This is shades of Max Verstappen in 2023. And dare I sing, duh, 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 duh.
No, no, no.
That is
I don't
revenge
wanna get
for Denak
copyright strike.
singing sweet. That is revenge for Denak singing Baby Shark on me.
Oh my god. I'm gonna stop you right there. But for now, though, RK being the fastest driver here, still definitely, getting, just doing laps after laps. Currently, the best time 1:43s, as you see here, Guayando doing it again on Azure, though, but Azure still not cracking under pressure. But Azure's best time as well as Guayando's best times, all within 46 and 45. It's definitely not as fast as RK. RK definitely qualifying in race trim, so interesting to see compared to the rest of the grid. Guayando, though, definitely a bit held back, but definitely can make it happen if they're able to do it a very big sudden. But I don't think Azure will like that, and Saber is definitely interested in seeing if anything happens, though, because if anything happens between the two of them, Saber is going to capitalize on it as soon as possible.
Azure definitely keeping Guayando at bay, trying to fight, trying to make keep Guayando under bay, just doing all of those defensive moves and trying to make that McLaren as wide as it can be. But Guayando down the inside, that is very brave. But
Oh,
can they get a corner exit? I don't think
no.
that. But the torque of that Mustang just keeping them on the rear end of that McLaren.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best place to do an overtake, but Guayando, though, currently keeping it within track limits, making sure that they stay within 5/10 of each other. They definitely can make a good run. They just need to make sure that they have a good exit up here in the SS, though. If they don't, it's gonna be a very big problem right now. Oh, that's a very big bump. Oh my god, Danak. What
That
has
was a
happened?
dumb.
That's
No,
unfortunate.
Guayando. That was
Yeah, it's gonna be a very big fall.
unfortunate domino effect that Guayando got caught into. I think it was Danak that ran into Saber, and in turn Saber knocking into Guayando. Now you can see Danak. I think that's Danak conceding position. They know that they messed up, and they know they're conceding position. But that's Tipping Sauce taking on the inside of Danak, taking advantage of that move.
Yeah, it's not gonna be enough, though. They might think that they just get Saber by it. They might not know that they have caused the fact that Guayando has dropped all the way down to P13. That's not the best move by Danak this time around. They're definitely not the best idea, but it is what it is. It is racing. We might try to take a look back into what happens. That might not be a good idea, but we see here Danak pushing it on the inside definitely has outbooked themselves. Definitely not the most ideal position to be in, but a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. It is power racing after all. Yeah, definitely forgot to brake there, and unfortunate for them.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate case for those three who have dropped down positions like a stone. Now, Azure thankfully doesn't have that pressure anymore. He's going to be very relieved to have that pressure of Guayando up the rear end, going left and right, trying to find a gap. And Azure can just relax for now, unless they can try and beat RK and try to drain some time off them. Hopefully try and bring the fight for P1, but a 10-second gap with 10 minutes to go, that is just insane from the number 25 Take Gang.
Yeah, definitely no one's gonna be beating RK this time around. RK is just hot lapping lap after lap here in their own traffic. I think that's something that they're used to, definitely. Definitely a driver on their own league. But for now, it's gonna be a fight from P2 and below. Zizor still capitalizing on all this, gonna start to slowly catch up through all this. 3 seconds behind Azure, though. So it's gonna be a very close fight between them, unless Saber can catch up and get the position back from Caesars itself.
Yeah, Kvik trying to take a look on Taiji, but no chance yet for the number. Let me look. The number 1, 2, 3 Escargo Aston Martin. But
yeah,
Taichi
definitely not the positions to be in.
Yeah, Taichi holding on P9 after that spin, so definitely making up for loose ground quite a bit. As you look over to Ven, who is right behind Zenak, who is right behind Dipping Sauce. Now, Dipping Sauce has added another driver to their train, but now I think it's Saber slowly taking over that train because Dipping Sauce is hounding up on the number 523 Mustang. They're definitely going to have a go at each other, Mustang on Mustang.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how if Saber is able to recover from the damages that has happened. They definitely have front and rear damage, whereas compared to Guayando only having rear damage though. So unfortunately for them, damage here is a bit more forgiving compared to other sims. So they might feel a bit sketchy. The tires might be a bit more worse for wear at the end of this stint, but for now, definitely still drivable. It's only a matter of fact that they do not have a tow anymore, and also they do not have a reference to stay behind now. It's only them versus the trains behind them. And it's gonna be
Hold on,
Dip
I
trying to
think
have a
Dipping
move.
Sauce has a better exit going into the high-speed sections, trying to stay under the slipstream. Can Dipping Sauce tuck out of the slipstream at that perfect moment and take the number 523 at the bus stop? It's really close, but Dipping Sauce going on the inside line, going on the marbles. That's very risky. Going on the outside instead and saving it for later. Saber defending with all their might, but Dipping Sauce relentless. But Dipping Sauce goes wide through those Zenak, and that is an unfortunate case for Dipping Sauce going really wide at the bus stop, and that just loses them one position.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best idea to be on the marbles itself, but you know, it's one thing. Saber definitely defended pretty well, just parking it just enough to annoy Dip, and that's definitely have got in the head of Dipping Sauce, and Danek definitely capitalizing on it. But Danek though is gonna have a move on Saber, gonna try again, but it's gonna be I don't think Saber is gonna be nice to Danek after the incident has happened in turn 1.
Oh my goodness, Denak coming up to Saber, slowly trying to make up ground. Hopefully this battle goes out cleanly because this should, as much as that incident happened, I just want these guys to have great racing. That's all.
Yeah, definitely needs to make sure that you don't get in the head of each other though, given that right now Danek I see crossing a little bit of the track limits here and there. Definitely don't want to pick up too much or else get a drive through here. It's actually pretty easy to get a drive through here if you get turn 1 a bit too wide, too much, as well as turn 10. Both corners very easy to get track cut warnings, and when you get 3, it's your last warning, and you get 4, you get a drive-through. So drivers need to make sure that you don't get much drive-throughs here. Speaking of drive-throughs as well, later on when the pit window is open, make sure you don't get yourself a stop-go penalty. The pit entry here is pretty fast, especially that you're coming out of the exit of the last corner. So definitely interesting to see how things go. Guayando though having a look at Kvyat. Will that happen in this sector? Not yet, but Kvyat getting ready to get overtaken by Guayando. Definitely the faster driver on the grid. Will that happen close here and then? Maybe not now, but definitely a recovery drive from Guayando. Going to be driving as fast as possible just to get rid of all the traffic that they have in front of them.
Yeah, Guayando, really unfortunate to them to end up in Danak and Saber's incident, but it's great to see Guayando still fighting. It's great to see Guayando still putting on a challenge. As who was that? I think that is Parcho looking on the inside of Electroshock's. It is teammate on teammate battle for the silver class. This is P3 for the silver class. Keep in mind. So they're definitely battling out no team orders as of yet, but they have to be careful because Camirs is behind and might pick up the scraps of if this battle indeed does go wrong. No,
Yeah,
correct me, it's actually Auraz right behind Parcho.
Yeah, but right now in front of them as well, Chip being 3 seconds ahead of everyone. Not 3 seconds, being the one in front. Next one in front of them will be Ven, but Ven's already very far, 3 seconds ahead of the whole thing. So definitely the driver to be fighting for will be P2 in the silver class. So they definitely want to be safe, make sure that they don't have any incidents. Electroshocks in P3, in silver class, as Leparch in P4. It's a train all the way from Chip coming down to Camirs in P16. So all the silver drivers still fighting for positions, pretty strong here. Basically 15 minutes into this race.
might I mention, Chip is in the R8. That is not a car you see so often. I believe the only other R8 we've had in this season was Plasma in the Pro class. As we look at blue flags, JPEG trying to make as much way as possible because they are right now they are being bullied. I kind of feel bad for them. Look at all those pro drivers just hustling up that number 12 Aston Martin. But thankfully, that reign is over for now. But there will be more front runners that want to get past the number 12 back marker.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting fight to see later on. Right now, though, speaking of class fighting, Dirk and Juan V both very close to each other. Igfu has overtaken Dirk and Juan V, and Dirk both within a second of each other. So it's gonna be a very strong fight between the three of them. Igfu in P17, Dirk in P18, and Juan V in P19, all pretty strong here fighting for positions. But silver class though still pretty strong fighting as you know, the drivers still trying to get as close as possible with each other, but it's all about making sure who cracks under pressure within these racing conditions.
Yeah, Chip right now being the massive cork in the bottle in this silver class fight. Keep in mind, Barcho is also challenging for that title with Ven a long way ahead. So this is just bringing a little bit more points for Ven as Electroshocks goes really wide. That has really compromised their move into turn 1, and now Parcho might want to get past this time because they have a championship to account for. They are under risk from losing points to was it Ven, but I don't think that's the case. Parcho compromised their turn 1 as well because here comes Aras in the bus stop. Will they make a move? Not quite. And Chip still leading this train as we speak.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the drivers still fighting for positions right here. I think,
That's
Camille still
Camirs.
lost it.
Was that? That was the bus stop
Where is that?
chicane.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
the
the
bus
bus
stop
stop.
chicane. Yeah, that is the bus stop.
Unfortunate
Unfortunate, they
for
were
drivers.
in the they were in the fight for that position, but now they've lost the train, and now they have to make up all of that lost ground. And
Who's that on the
speaking,
side?
here we go. We have chaos here. We have Parcho. We have JPEG trying to make way for a lot of front runners. JPEG is absolutely being bullied right now by these front runners. Blue flags everywhere he goes. It's just I'd be terrified if I was in his perspective. Look at all those faster cars running to his left, to his right, and he has no choice but to concede to these guys. They are really aggressive when it comes to battling each other.
I mean, to be fair, it's one thing to get blue flag by one driver, it's another to get blue flag by a train. So it's definitely, it's nice to see that JP has moved aside to make sure that nothing has happened. But it's definitely not the most safest thing to do. But it's definitely.
Electroshocks! Electroshocks going into turn 1, going for the dive, really deep. Electroshocks, unfortunately, not getting the move done because Chip has wrapped around the outside, and that just compromised their move into turn 1 because Parcho is right behind the slipstream. And as I say, the pit window has opened, so anyone can dive into pit lane for a fresh set of tires and fuel. But keep in mind, this is Watkins Glen, a lot of high-speed corners, so you really want to you really want to go long and not get caught with your pants down in the final stages. But it's really close right now between these front runners. I think an undercut or overcut strategy is in mind for these drivers.
I mean, it depends on whether you think you're behind a traffic that's slower than you or not. If you are on par pace, there's no point coming into the pits. You might as well just, extend it as much as possible. But if you feel like you're getting held up in corners or in certain parts of the track, it's definitely the time to pit in for new tires, get repairs, get a fresh start in front. But the problem with pitting so early in these kind of conditions is that you'll get into traffic. You get into blue flag traffic with the pro, or you just get into the fact that the AMs have not pitted yet, and that's going to be a problem for you because then you'll be fighting for positions with the AM drivers, and that will not be ideal for you. So you definitely have to time it right. Maybe a bit too early for the pits. The window is open, so for anyone that is out position or has damage, that will be a time to be fighting to get into the pits. Juan V might think about getting into the pits just to be in front of Dirk, but for now, drivers have to think about, not to be too eager to jump the gun and get in the pits because that will give you a very big compromise in your pit strategy.
Dirk right now making that Ferrari as wide as it can. They want this AM class win, but 1B is hounding on that blue E car. That Porsche all over the rear end for quite a while now, but Dirk, for now, looking really composed here. But 1B
Oh,
won't give up without a fight. 1B is really relentless right now.
yeah, but you see a lot of drivers are in the pits right now. Cameron's coming in for definitely repairs. Whereas though in for the pit just to get in front of the train, but will that compromise their race though? Because right now, if they pin so early, they might get into blue flag traffic. So that would be ideal for them. Definitely a few more drivers in the pits though. KD has retired from this whole race. Skyler though also in the pits. Not sure from I think that's from a pit stop, as well as Coda. So a few drivers in the pits. Not the best time to be in it, ideal in my opinion, but you have cleared your pit requirement, so that's going to be a worry for you out the box. So it's going to be nice to see them slowly get used to it, make sure that they don't get too caught up in the fact that they're a bit in free air. Sometimes you can start to relax as you get caught up in free air, so it's hopefully that doesn't happen though. Chip getting strongly pressured by electroshocks. Definitely not the best time. Oh, a little bit slight from the drivers here. Definitely a very big fight between the three of them. They definitely might want to think about pitting. By the looks of it.
The battle of P2 here going insane right now. Electroshocks trying to find their way around Chip, but Chip making that R8 as wide as it can be. That lead paw R8 with the Toblerone on the rear wing is just a roadblock in the silver class as Parcho dives into the pits for an undercut, that's for sure. They feel like they have the pace to get past both Chip and Electro in the pit lane, but Electro resorting to battling Chip out on racetrack.
Now, the only problem is that will they be able to get an ideal pit stop? Oras did a very ideal 1:05 on the pit time, so definitely within the required 65 seconds, but for the minimum of 65 seconds between, but for them both dip. The rest of them really fighting for positions right now in P4. Danak has overtaken Dip for the position, but for how long though?
Dip's nose was uncomfortably close to the rear end of Danak, but I think it looks like they're going out wide from all the dirty air that Ferrari's generating, and that just brings Saber back into the fight. But Dipsaws slowly regaining their composure and trying to fight back. I think this is going to be a close battle for what is this? This is P4 for now.
Yeah, it's definitely a fight for P4 as Azure has definitely run away along with Zzors in front for P2 and P3. But for now, though, very strong fight for P4. Right now, Leporcio, a second off from RS into pit stop. That's going to be a little bit of a problem as they regain their position on track. Will that be able to be enough for RS to overtake Leporcio? I think that's going to be a no, I think. Yes, RS is currently behind Wolfin. Wolfin has overtaken the Porcho though. Will that be a good time? No, that's not gonna be. Actually, it is. RS is in front of the Porcho, so nice to see that the pit stop has worked for them. Currently, Phaser in the pits for their pit window. They definitely have pitted earlier for incidents, but definitely now to get their pit stops done for the race.
Now, a lot of people ducking into the pit lane really early, considerably early. As keep in mind, a lot of high-speed corners, so they're really going to have to put their tire conservation skills to the test because you'll have to be lasting more than 30 minutes on those tires in such a highly abrasive track with a lot of high-speed corners. So you're really going to play the tire saving game if you really go early. I think a lot of these drivers going long for now because that is the optimal strategy, or maybe going half and half. Maybe they've degraded their first set quite a bit too much to go long. So we really don't know with the strategies of the drivers until they come into pit lane. But looking into the rear wing of Saber, they have Bossy on their rear end by 3/10. So again, dipping Danak holding a bit of a train right now as Dipping Sauce trying to get the rear end. Dipping Sauce trying to get to the rear end of Danak, and Saber trying to lead a bit of that train into that battle as well.
Well, yeah, currently the train has quite settled down. I think Saber's having slight issues with the tires, given that the pit window has opened 3 minutes before the halfway mark, and that's when the pro drivers usually pit. Guayano, though, has definitely caught back from all the incidents currently at the back of Taichi. Definitely wants to get past Taichi as soon as possible. I think likely that it's either Guayano's going to pit early for an undercut, or Taichi's going to pit early for an all this, but Azure the first to pit between all of them, though. Currently in the pits. How long would that not repair? How long would that pit stop be? They definitely have no repairs to think about.
We have a
But
fight
right now
going
that will make
on.
Zizors in front.
That is.
Ooh, that ain't.
Yep, and it's Dipping Sauce on the inside of the marbles again. This is a risky move. Can he get the inside? Dipping Sauce too wide into the bus stop. Going around the
nice
outside.
move.
What a move.
Oh
and
my god, that's Phaser in the pit. On the
that is
track.
close, because that could have been a really bad situation, because that was Phaser on the bus stop. But the question now is, I think Dipping Sauce recognized that they overtook under yellow flag, so they're conceding the position to Denak by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely not ideal. The fact that Phaser was there, would be definitely very frustrated by the fact that that they had the move done, but they just had incidents on track. They can't tackle it. Yeah, so unfortunately for them, they definitely have to concede it.
That is great sportsmanship. Denak and Dipping Sauce really having a decent fight there. Dipping Sauce really brave with the marbles, especially, but these guys have been going on and on at each other. It's going to get more interesting the more this race builds up.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most ideal time to have an issue. Danak, though, in the pits indicated for Dip to let them know.
Danak is driving in the pit lane. So is Saber. These two are going for the pit lane, and Saber, my goodness! Braking a bit later than Danak, almost running into the number 54 T-Gang Ferrari. That was too close for comfort between those two in the pit lane.
Yeah, but good to see that there is some gap between the two of them, so they are able to catch up though. So right now, nice to see that nothing has happened. RK though in the pits right now, first time seeing RK within the traffic, but for how long? I don't think that's gonna last for long, as the pits window is starting to close in. 31 minutes remaining to this race, so still not halfway point yet. We got a minute before we tick into the halfway mark. Some drivers will definitely want to pit early, some definitely not. Want to stay out though, as Dip currently behind lap traffic, and I think that's Quest in the Bentley right now.
Dipping Sauce really going for the long game. They're weaving it at Mustang. I'm kind of getting concerned about their tires, but if Dip has it, Dip has it. That's what I think is going on here.
Yeah, it's nice to see that no issues are being had for the drivers in front, though. Zizors being the currently driver that has not been pitting, as well as Dip currently in provisional P1 until they have their pit stop. Will they have a good pit stop, though? I think looking at the pit stops stats right now, a few drivers having good pit stops. RK, Azure, Danak, all making sure they have pit stop. They don't have any pit stop issues. Saber though, a bit slow on their pit stop at 1 minute 7 seconds, a couple of seconds behind compared to the rest of the field. Whereas the Porsche with a 1 minute 05, so all within good. Kvyat had some little bit of damage, it seems, given that they have a bit longer pit stop. Chip as well, given that they have a 124 in their pit stop, though. That's going to be compromising their exit, and I think some of them also have their repairs done. So interesting to see some drivers not having issues. Guayano, though, the last of the pit stops, because as they still stay outside, I think they want to capitalize on the lost time that they had. A free air would definitely give them a good time to run away as Zizors coming into the pits. How long will their pit stops be? Hopefully no stop goes from most of these drivers, but I think for some of them it'll be interesting to see how their strategy entails.
Yeah, Dipping Sauce has dived into the pit lane as well. And that is Bossy overshooting their pit box. So that is going to be precious seconds wasted, and they're just going to see themselves dropping down the order by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's going to be more than a few seconds on their pit stop, unfortunate for them. That's usually why you don't keep it on the inside when you're in the on the pit lane. As much as it's easier for you to brake, I feel like it's a good idea to just tuck in as you're in your pit box, or else you really can't see where your pit markers are, especially with how busy the pit lane is right now.
RK putting up a huge gap, I think. Yeah, it looks like RK has now developed a 17-second gap on Azure, so they're they definitely gained a lot of time on their pit stop by the looks of things. 1V, one of the drivers staying out as well. They are actually the last AM class driver staying out in the pit lane. Dirk has served their pit stop, so they definitely went for the undercut. Quan V is going for the undercut strategy, and they're just now getting past the McLaren of, I'm not sure who this is. I think that is Egfu. That's what I've been told. But yeah,
Oh, we'll see
I
later.
think no, it's not Egfu, but yeah, 1V really going for the long
That is
game, it
Egfu.
seems, as they head into the final few corners.
That is Egfu currently.
And
It was you were talking about. But yes, it's definitely a quite long fight for these drivers as they slowly, get their pit stops done. I think currently, as you said, then only 3 drivers not done the pit stop. Oh,
1V
what's
is
that?
making a pit stop right now,
Hey.
going into the pit lane. So this is a make or break moment for the number 911 Porsche 911 of 1V for Cabal Sim Sports. So can they get ahead of Dirk, or will they have to go behind, but with a fresher tire advantage?
Yeah, I think right now that was gonna be a thing to see. But Guayando in the pit lane, will they take their repairs? Hopefully not. I feel like that's not a good idea to take for repairs. I think that will time that we'll see in a bit. Currently, Guayando actually no, they won't be taking their repairs. A 30-second pit, 33-second pit stop time. So there's gonna be a no repairs from Guayando. It's gonna be a very fast exit for them as they come out into the pit exit. Where will they be? Will they be in front of a Taichi or will they not? I think that will be time will tell as they come out.
Orlando has came out, so they are right behind. Let me see. They're right behind Saber,
Oh,
directly behind by I think around 2 seconds, and now 1V has come out of pit lane, and as far as I'm concerned, Dirk has made that undercut work, but can they save the tires? They maintain that AM class lead, but at the cost of tire life. So can Dirk save their set of tires throughout like 26 minutes of this race? Because 1V has a fresher set. He is definitely going to put the faster lap time. So it's going to be interesting, and intense to see how these strategies will come out.
oh, as you see, Derek missing the bus stop a little bit here and there, but Juan V does not even has also Chip in front of them to take care of as well. Will they able to fight positions with Chip though? I think Chip will have to negotiate between the rest of them to make sure that if they want to get past them, fight for positions, that they do it smoothly. Or if not, they might get caught up in incidents, and that's gonna be not gonna be ideal for all of them involved.
Hold on. Wasn't Chip ahead in the silver class, bro? I feel like something
He
might have
was.
happened for that to happen. So, whatever happened, Chip is down to the order by the
Chip
looks of
has
things.
repairs.
Yeah, I think Chip has had some repairs from I don't know where. But Electroshock's diving in the pit lane as it seems. That is going to be an interesting question now. Can Electroshocks be ahead of Parcho, or can Parcho? I think it looks like it's Parcho ahead of Electroshocks by a long margin, and now finds himself in the silver class podium, which is great for their silver class title efforts, because now they're ever so closer to Ven in terms of points, and they only have Horace in between them. So Parcho will definitely put the foot on the floor and will try and get past both Horace and try to bring the fight to Ven.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how those 3 negotiate all of this though. But Aura definitely would not give the position away that easily. Aura is definitely looking forward to making sure that they get a podium finish, as high as possible. They definitely want the results that we have here tonight, and definitely they can do it so long as they don't crack under pressure. But Wasi definitely, but Lapartio definitely as close as they could behind RS. But this is gonna be a very very close fight between the 3 of them.
Ven is really being the cork in the bottle in this silver class battle, because that is Ven, Horace, Partial, and Quick. That close to each other. It's insane. And Partial has gone really deep. That is not going to help the number 47 Take Gang as Quick goes through.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, definitely a little bit, I think they have missed the breaking point and just wanted to avoid crashing though. Van, a little bit slow on pit exit. Currently, the last lap was a 46.6 compared to the previous 45, compared to Oraz's 45.9. They definitely have to pick up the pace. Oraz will be all over the back of the BMW right now, but currently Van did a 146.1. Oras did 146.0. So comparable times between the two of them, but Oras definitely has the upper hand. They definitely need to work on making sure to get away. If not, Oras is gonna take a look and have a very long fight away from the positions right now.
There is Kvik looking a bit faster on the straight. They might have Oras at this section. There is Kvik going on the inside of the silver class Lamborghini into the bus stop, and I think Kvik has got this move done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oras definitely will
Oras.
not be a good idea to let them fight anyways, because that will be not a position to be fighting for the standings in silver class, but it's a position after all to be fighting for.
Yeah, and Kvik and Oras does know that. They could probably follow Kvik, and Kvik can bring to the fight to Ven, which in turn will benefit Oras just a little bit because they will lose time battling with Kvik.
It depends on how willingly Ven wants to give the position away. They might think about it, might just let them buy us at the most strategic time possible, make a very minute quote unquote mistake on the corner to let Kvyat by and just close the door immediately on RS, and that would be the most ideal way to let someone by, I assume, but it depends on how the drivers think about letting drivers by. But you're not really obligated to let drivers by, given that we are all still racing for position, even though it's not for class position, it's for overall position, and RS is almost losing it at the exit just then at turn I think that's turn 7, no, that's turn 7, that's turn 9 into the corner. So definitely need to be careful not to spin it out, or also just gonna have issues for the rest of the race.
Yeah, Parcho as well, making a bit of lost ground after going really wide. So Parcho not entirely out of the picture just yet, because they could still bring the battle to Oras, because yeah, as you said, Oras is right behind, and as I mentioned before, Parcho is right behind Oras, and now Kvik is now making the move on Ven. I think Kvik, yeah, Quick just making a. No, wait! Nope, I'm wrong. That is Ben bringing the fight to Quick. So this is not the ideal strategy, because you're just going to end up losing time to a faster car anyway. And now Oras and Parcher will just pick up those scraps.
Well, yeah, I guess Van still definitely wants to be in the top 10 position, but definitely not the most ideal strategy that is phased right in front of them. That is going to be lap traffic. But as you see here, RS still fighting for the Porcho. So I think Van knows that RS is also having issues behind him. So he can't afford. Oh, it's RS spinning. Oh, that's unfortunate for them.
No!
Oh, it's going to be an awkward situation to recover from. Oh, who's that?
Oh, Tai Chi! Wow, my goodness.
Yeah, not the most convenient time to have an issue, but unfortunately for them, I think they got a bit too eager on the brakes and power, and that's going to be a problem for them, as unfortunately that's the position gone for them. The Departure now P2 in silver class.
I mean, thankfully, in terms of the silver class, Oras hasn't lost much. They only lost position to, I believe that is, yeah, I think Oras only lost to Taichi, so now Oras has electroshocks by 3 seconds. But Parcho right now, really conceding. I think Parcho's conceding to Vossi right now, but Parcho has one less driver to worry about, and now they are directly behind Ven in terms of positions in the silver class.
Yeah,
No,
and
that's
that's a very slow Danak. Not sure.
Yeah, had a bit of contact as well. That looks like a bit of damage to that front end. So I wonder what happened between them and Guayando.
Yeah,
As
but
we
I think
look
also
into
not sure if Guayando is just giving Danak just giving a position back to Danak though, because they might have noticed that it might be an incident issue between the two of them earlier on, but we'll see later on in this replay. Currently side by side into the last the back straight. I think that's just Danak just giving. Oh my God! Danak
goodness.
just closed the door between the two of them. That is unfortunate for the drivers here. It's gonna be a very
Thankfully,
damaged.
Thankfully, that did not go out as violent as I would expect a crash of that style would be, because that was extreme. That was just once you tag corners, there's no going back. You're just veering into the nearest wall.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for two of them. Unfortunately for us, we don't really see what can't really see too close what has happened. It might be an incident, it might be retaliation. Hopefully not retaliation. That's definitely not the best thing to do
No.
in a race. So hopefully it's just a racing incident, but you know, things can happen. We definitely have to cool our heads before we do any sort of review in all this. But for now though, Kvyat's still
Yeah.
fighting hard for Ven. I think Ven's not gonna give it that position up so that easily for sure.
I think to me that looked more like a racing incident. And now Denak in the pits, cause they definitely sustained a lot of damage from that incident. But going back to what I said, I don't think it was retaliation. It looked more like a racing incident. It was really close margins, and unfortunately those margins were too close between those two. As you look over to Quick, who has made it past and that
Oh my god.
consider me corrected. They were going around the outside, but unfortunately they went bumping around the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, definitely not ideal, and Ven definitely not giving the position back. As much to Kvyat's dismay, it is still for position, so they can't really fight it. They have to make it work, or they don't. And unfortunately for Kvyat, it's not there yet. Although to their frustration, that's definitely not a position to be fighting for.
There, yeah. As the field settles down for now, there is Ven, who after all the blows that Kvik has been giving them, is still ahead. And as we look over to Dirk, who has maintained that AM class lead, they have Camirs right behind. I'm not sure if that's Lakar. And oh, that is Oraz! Where are they? They are at the back stretch. Yeah, unfortunately, another incident for Oraz. That drops them down further. I wonder if it's the same thing that happened earlier. Oh, but as we look into, I believe that's the wrong car, unfortunately. But
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's
Oh,
definitely an issue.
that was.
Quest.
That was Quest. Oh my goodness, that was really close. But yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Oras having an incident in the same corner again. As
Yeah, it's gonna be an issue for them. So we'll look into that later a bit. Oh, okay. I guess we're going to
I
come take a look at it. Right now, I think
yeah, that is indeed the one.
currently for RS, maybe cooking a bit too hot. Yeah, definitely pushing
Yeah,
a
a
bit too
bit
hot.
too hot on that corner, a bit too deep
Oh my
into
god.
the wall. Hard slam. It's really easy to get that corner wrong. You tend to underestimate at times to think you can break later, but no.
I
You
mean,
really have to be patient with it. As Chip tries to go for a move around the Lamborghini of Aras, but unfortunately has to settle for later on because Aras defending with all their might. But I don't think that damaged Lamborghini. Oh my goodness!
oh, that's another car.
That is a car pointing the wrong way around. You
Skylar.
cannot park there, mate. Yep, that is Skylar. Can't park there,
Definitely
mate.
losing it on the bus stop again. I think a lot of drivers are getting caught in the bus stop.
Yeah.
But for now, Auras has a different problem though. That is the toe. That is the hairpin uphill. I think for Auras though, definitely getting a bit too hot on their head. They might be trying to lose up for lost time. Definitely not ideal to be in that mindset. But you know, as a driver, you gotta cut your losses and get used to driving back. Adjust your line. Be a bit more conservative. You can't just keep expecting to doing the same thing. Oh,
Oh,
that's too much for the
that's
Porsche.
where all is lost. And oh, tank
Oh,
slapper into the wall. Thankfully, not a big hit, so not too much damage.
yeah, but it's still damaged nonetheless. So it's gonna be unfortunate for the Porsche, but you could come back from it. Shouldn't be too much of an issue though. Auras still behind. No, sorry, Chip still behind Auras though, but Auras having a pretty damaged front end given that the lights on the Huracan are blinking, so that really shows that there is pretty significant front bumper damage. Auras though still holding strong for how long though? It's gonna be 13 minutes remaining to this race, so long as everything goes right, shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, Chip really going for the moves, and Auras, that Lamborghini going washing out a bit wide. Chip going into the slipstream, probably going to try and get a move into the bus stop chicane. That is a long straight for the R8 to get as much of a slipstream on that Lamborghini, swerving around, trying to find a move. But Auras doing all the defensive moves that they can find in in their their textbook of defensive moves, but it's definitely keeping Chip at bay, that's for sure. Auras still being a relentless driver despite all the damage he has taken from all those spins.
Yeah, still going strong though. But will he crack under pressure? That's usually they're pretty strong. It's only in turn 11, but I think with now more understeer given in the car, it's definitely less chances of oversteer. But it's all about making sure you don't overcook the corner, and definitely RS has done that a couple of times here in these corners. But right now, Laporte and Taichi, P10 and P11, both. Well, they can think about negotiating for positions, but Taichi will definitely be in front of them. Though Kvyat still fighting strong with positions for Ven, trying to get toe on their driver, but Kvyat still on the outside. Oh, that's not the best way to do a defense. Trying to get a toe and coming back into the pit, into the corner. Allowable, but it's a bit unpredictable, definitely for sure.
Oh, but
right
yep,
now
that
Ven
is
going
Van
wide though.
washing out wide. Yeah,
Getting
as Vic.
A1X though, not a good idea.
Yeah. 1x. This is ACC, mate. But anyways, getting back to where we are, Vic trying to get into the slipstream, definitely gaining a lot of distance. Those car lengths getting smaller and smaller and quick, going around the outside. Ven closing off a bit, going for defensive, and Ven still ahead of Vic, really making this hard for the number 123 Aston Martin to get by.
Yeah, but you can see here pre-battle scarred that BMW has, especially on the left side. That really tells you that they have been hitting the barrier on turn 11 on the exit of the final corner. So not you can't do too much damage on that part, or else you're gonna have a lot of top speed. Slow disadvantage. I think that has been showing by the fact that the Aston Martin is catching up pretty strongly on the BMW, and the car's blinking a little bit here and there as well. The front bumper damage on the car is pretty strong, and I think Ven knows this as well. I don't know if it's a good idea for them to just cut their losses, get the pro driver by. They are pretty far away from the Porsche behind, so a driver behind will not driver in front will not be a problem for them. And for the fact that you can actually get a tow from the driver behind them as well, so it might be a position that they might not want to fight for in this position at time.
Yeah, but all that battling between Ven and Kvik is just going to make who's it? I believe it is Archo much closer to Ven, but with 3 pros between them, I don't think Ven is worried for now.
Oh, they are worried for the position with Kvyat, though they definitely want to keep P7, not P8, but I don't, it's not going to be a good idea for
not
them.
again.
Yeah, they can't do too much of it. Currently, they definitely have too much front-end damage, though. They definitely need to slow down. If not, a drive-through is going to be a detrimental for their race. No point fighting for position if you're going to get a drive-through and you only have 10 minutes remaining into this race. Might as well just cut your losses, get it sorted out, or else you're going to have a very big problem later on in the race.
Yeah, Ven, again, defending on the bus stop. Interesting strategy, trying to bundle up as much pros, making yourself the great wall of pros, but if the pros are fast enough, that might backfire on you, because here comes Vic trying to find all the gaps as possible, but for now, Ven is holding the Aston Martin at bay. Quick, definitely relentless still, trying to find a move. Will they go for the inside? No, they stick to the outside. Ven on the inside, and that is a spin for Vic! That is a spin, they overcooked it, and that is Vic going wide. Unfortunately, that is one less pro driver for Ven to worry about, and that is now 2
Oh, no.
for both Taichi, now, which just comes in the form of Taichi, and I believe that is, yeah, Bossy and Taichi.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for them. Not sure if that's a slap or the fact that they might actually accidentally touch. I think that will come in time. Not the most perfect camera angle. Oh, that's a very slight and a half. Unfortunate for them. I think they just tried to. It's either they kind of got caught out by Ven's braking, or they kind of just had an issue with the tires, and that has caused them their position for P7. Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty sketchy, but Parcho closing in on Ven. Now, keep in mind the 2 pros between them, Ven and Parcho, is Taichi and Vossi, so I think they will naturally go onto Ven's side. I mean Parcho's side. They will definitely take the fight to Ven and try to slow them down. for Parcho to gain. But speaking about, but I want to look over to the Yam class because that battle is getting really close right now. 1v is 5/10 behind Dirg.
Oh, but right now, still Guayando trying to make a move on Saber on the outside. That's not gonna stick, but how long will that take though? I think that's gonna be a few couple corners before Guayando has a move on Saber. But right now, Dirk and Juan V fighting for positions. We only have 8 minutes remaining. They definitely have to think about having a move, or else Dirk will be behind. Juan V will be behind Dirk until the start until the checkered flag. But for now, Juan V trying to make a move. Gotta be careful though. The Porsches does not like the erratic movements that they're trying to give on the car itself.
Oh,
Especially the fact
there
that they
we
just
go.
take the
1v.
curb. That's not
No.
going to be a position for Juan V. Yeah, that's going to be a yellow flag. That's unfortunate for them. A bit
1v
too
has
greedy.
fun on the bus stop.
Yeah. The moment
Yeah.
they took the curb, that's going to be ideal for them. So, unfortunately for them, they're not used to having a car in front of them as they fight for the bus stop. And unfortunately, I think they just got caught out with the fact that they couldn't see the curb and they clipped too much on the inside, unfortunately. And that has given them a spun. Guayano, though, still fighting positions with Saber, still 3/10 behind them. Pretty close for the driver, currently in pro, trying to recover from it. It's going to be a P5. Ooh. Not sure what's happened there, but P5 will be the position that Saber will be fighting for currently. Unfortunately for them, won't be fighting for P2, but it will still be a P5 that will be fighting for in front.
Yeah, as you saw, 1v losing a lot of grip on the bus stop, and Dirg having that little moment. So the tires definitely wearing out. Those tires are absolutely shredded by the looks of things. But as we look back at the battle between Guayando and Saber making that Mustang as wide as it can, but Guayando definitely wants some redemption after indirectly being hit, with Saber being one of the unfortunate guys to get into that accident as well. So the two Mustangs really duking it out for P5 here. Really intense battle that will develop into the final stages.
Yeah, Guayando will definitely want that position ahead of them, but it's all about making sure they have a good exit though. A bit sketchy from Guayando. They're trying to find a way to do it, but they definitely have to take some time to scope out where they are improving on. If not, they're just gonna have issues going back and forth. And when you want to be close up, you definitely don't want it to be at the apex of a corner. You want it to be at the exit of a corner. So it's gonna be important for Guayando to just understand where they're improving, where their strong points are, where Saber's weaknesses are, and just work it out. If not, it's gonna be a very long train until the very checkered flag, and it's not gonna be ideal as we have 5 minutes remaining in this race.
Dive.
No,
Not
it's too far away.
That was really close, but Guayando, that unfortunately really compromised their exit into turn 1. You really want a good exit out of turn 1 to have the straight line advantage in order to make an overtake or to defend nicely, depending on the situation you're on.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think definitely getting into the head of Guayando itself. You can't do that. You need to make sure that you stay composed. As much as you think you can spook the other driver, that's not gonna happen for most of these drivers. And if you don't do it right, it's gonna be a problem though. Right now, with Van fighting for position for Voss, he's still not the most ideal thing to do. I don't know why Van is still fighting for position. It's definitely not ideal to be doing this when you're, you have your entire class win in front of you. Why are you fighting for position here? It's not an ideal position, more because of the fact that you're just risking a drive-through. And when you get a drive-through, you can't be crying the fact that you're gonna have issues later. So it's gonna be not the most ideal position to be fighting for.
I'm kind of questioning Ben's strategy right now, because the more you defend, the more you're just reeling in Parcho. And keep in mind, Parcho is. Oh, nope. As we look back into the battle, Guayando on the outside. Can they get the move done? Nope, they save it for later. Guayando flashing those headlights. They definitely want to get past by the gesturing, by the pressing of the flasher button. That is. I flash a lot, so I appreciate that a bit. That is.
I mean,
really
I get that.
hilarious.
So they want to get out of the way because they are closing in on certain corners. But for now, I think they're pushing a bit too hard, though, as you can see here. A little bit of track limits. They have to be careful. They can't just keep doing this. They have to tuck in. If they don't tuck in, they're losing positions. I think they learned the fact that they have to tuck in for their corner. And if they do, they have a good run. And I think they have learned that as well. Both drivers, though, running a bit wide. But Guayando having a better composure on the exit. That is going to be a good run. 2/10 behind between the two of them. They might have a good run. Actually, that might happen.
This might
see.
be the move. Guayando on the slipstream of Saber. Can they get the move? Saber tucking into
No.
the inside. Guayando on the outside. I think it's a bit too far for Guayando to make a move, but Saber a bit too compromised by the inside line. Still holds on,
Yeah, but
surprisingly, but
Guando
Guayando.
is a bit safe on the apex as well, so that has caused them to not take advantage of the tap time they could have gained if they were a bit more aggressive on the apex on the bus stop.
Yeah, Guayando still tucking onto the inside line of Saber, trying to find the gaps, but Guayando washing out a bit wide. That's not going to help them in their favor. But this corner has caught out a lot of drivers, but they are running it pretty smoothly. But Guayando definitely wanting to try and get past, but Saber's just too quick. Saber's just making that car really wide. It's really tricky with that 523 all over the place with Guayando trying to get past.
Yeah, they don't have much time remaining as well. There's only a couple of laps remaining. 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes at the end of this session. They definitely have traffic around this as well as traffic. Not the best position to get traffic. That's going to cost them a few tenths up into the last few corners, but they have to make the move now. It's got to be now or never, and they definitely want to make that move now, or else it's not much of a position to gain.
There's not a lot of time left. Guayando has to go for it now or never. Guayando trying to find a better exit compared to Saber, tucking into the slipstream, going really wide. That is risky for the number 84 Cabal Mustang, because remember, track limits are still a thing to take care of. You do not want 3 track cuts, because on the 4th one you'll get a drive-through penalty. But Guayando still under that limit and going for the outside of the bus stop. Nope, saving it for later, because Saber going deep again. But again, yeah, they're just taking the easy on the bus stop between these two.
Yeah, well, these two fighting Ven and Vossi, Ven and Vossi right now, as you see in the narratives, fighting strong on the position, side by side coming down into the final 2 corners. Though will Ven concede? No, it will still be there. Currently, unfortunately, Vossi is still stuck behind Ven. They're really not much of a fight to begin with. Taichi is still right now 8 tenths behind the 2 of them. Ven definitely holding up all that is involved right now. But side by side, Vossi has a better exit. Will that translate to a good turn 6? Leaders on the final lap. Ven, watch between the 2 of them. Vossi definitely cutting a bit too close, and Taichi definitely capitalizing on the incident that you have right there. Definitely not ideal for Vossi, but Taichi's not going to be as kind to him as Ven is, and Ven going sideways on this corner. Definitely losing positions. It's going to be 2 positions lost for Ven.
Oh my goodness! Everything is going wild as you say that. Guayando and Saber are side to side. Look over to them. Look at the camera. The 2 final corners. Guayando and Saber side to side between the 2 final corners.
Oh, that's not gonna happen though. Oh my god.
Guayando on the outside. Saber. Guayando has did it. Guayando wrapping around the outside of the final corner. And now going for the final lap. They have got it on the penultimate lap, but can they hold on?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fight for Saber. Saber though losing it. I think that's gonna be it for Saber, but that's not gonna be. It's still an entire whole lap to deal with it. Ven is still very strong between Taichi as well as Vossi. All you see here red between 3 tenths and 4 tenths. A very very strong fight for the last few corners on this lap. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Ven, you can't keep doing that. That's gonna be a problem for them, especially if they get a drive through. So please do not get a drive through at these final moments of the race. You are basically wasting your race away. That is gonna be not ideal.
I think they're going wide because they have the luxury to go as wide as possible, but it looks like Taichi got past. There's definitely a lot of kerfuffle. It was Guayando versus Saber, and then Ven versus the 2 Tig Gang cars at the same time, so sorry if it was tricky to keep track.
Yeah, it's currently right now. It's definitely everything's starting to heat up at the end of the race, and RK has finished the race right now. I think they definitely have waited for the time on the timer. But for now, Azure will be the next to cross the line. But the race is not done yet. Vossi still trying really hard for the last few corners into this race. But when will that is Vossi Danak celebrating at the end as they finish their race here in P19. Not ideal as they make donuts, but we should really get back into the fight right now. I still Vossi still fighting position with Ven. Currently still strong in the last few corners. Ven making a very...
That was a dive from Vossi. That was a really aggressive lunge from Vossi, but Ven going on the
Yeah,
outside.
they two definitely are very heated. I'm sure, definitely not the most ideal between the two of them. Hopefully, they don't fight against each other later on in the cooldown. But it is what it is. We're gonna have to see how things go. But Ven still keeping in that P8 right now, so not the most ideal between all the drivers fighting. But it is what it is. Taichi though coming to P7 and P8 will be Ven, and then P9 will be Vossi, and Leparcho taking P10. Still first. Still a silver win for Ven, but definitely not an easy fight the entire race.
Yeah, and I believe that will sum up our race as some of the drivers are crossing the finish line. Well, one thing
Ivic just
for
passed
sure.
it
Yeah.
at P11. Electroshocks at P12 and P13 will be Chip. Currently our driver first race here in Season 6. So definitely drivers are starting to cross the grid as well as Wolfin. And that will be the last few drivers to cross the line in this race.
Well, now may I mention Wolfin was involved in the last in a opening lap incident, but by the looks of it, they got P3 just by surviving the race. So Wolfin showing how important racecraft is in terms of the long run.
Yeah, it's nice to see that things have happened. Dirk though winning the AM champ definitely the upper hand compared to Juan V. So nice to see that Dirk has been able to win this round in Watkins Glen. Nice to see that they have a pretty solid race compared to the rest of the AM class.
Yeah, they're doing exceptionally well to hold off the pressure of 1V. I did not expect it to go out like this. 1V unfortunately catching out from incidents because of the buzzsaw chicane by the looks of it. Dirty Air unfortunately catching out the 911 Cabal Porsche. So, but in the end of the day, Dirk really held on really well. That was just brilliant effort from the number 26 Blue E Ferrari to to hold on for a AM class lead. In terms of the silver class, things could have gone pretty smoother with Ven, but regardless, Ven still took a win with Parcho right behind them.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice ending for all drivers involved. It has been a really close race for some of the drivers, and although there are some unfortunate crashes here and there, but good to see everyone was being very clean for the most part. And I think Stewards might be a little bit busy, but it's not the end of the world.
That's for sure. Yeah, thankfully we made it across the checker flag as well. This is a complete race, the first complete race of 2025 for Simufurs. So thank goodness for that.
Yeah, nice to see a very good race from this series. But for now, it has been fun. Next week though, we will be going to round 5, and that will be we are going to Zolder, a pretty
Zolder,
interesting
yeah.
track, more narrow, a lot of chicanes though. So hopefully we don't see drivers having issues there around.
Zolder. I feel like something is brewing when as we go over to Zolder for the penultimate round of the series. But yeah, that should close off for Watkins Glen. Again, I am Suzuka. Alongside me is Nick with Mike behind the scenes in the camera work, and we will see you next week for round 5.